Technology continues to move forward. Film photography has gone from a brand new invention to a mainstay of society to now just being a nostalgic throwback that people will get into as a hobby. Nostalgia is a powerful force. And if we look at the way we consume media, it's gone from movie theaters to home media to now streaming everywhere. So what better place to talk about nostalgia than here at the Last Blockbuster? Welcome to beautiful Bend, Oregon, where we're taking a look at the Last Blockbuster. I'm John from Adults Have Toys Too, and today we're going to look at some film photography with a little bit of a focus on nostalgia. So let's quite literally open the door to the past and relive some of those times where choosing a movie for the weekend meant physically going to a store and browsing the shelves. Coming here is a little bit like getting back into film photography. We're talking about something that people fondly remember, but technology has pretty much driven it completely extinct. Of course, nostalgia is always rose-colored, and when we think about Blockbuster, we don't tend to think about the hassle of going to the store, the hassle of remembering to return those movies, and the hassle of receiving a movie that has not been rewound. I'll tell you what, I've seen a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of places, come to the Last Blockbuster, and they've had reactions, they've had a feeling coming here, and I think I'm I'm definitely feeling that too, that missing of a place that doesn't even feel gone yet. It's weird to be here since I've seen Blockbusters all my life. I've gone here on weekends, rented video games, rented movies, and it's actually pretty wild. It's pretty wild to be here, to be at the last of its kind. It's kind of like walking through a door back to your childhood. It's a really hard feeling to capture. So we're gonna get a few shots with the film camera in here, and yeah, it's just wild. Surrounded by this old media definitely brings those feelings of nostalgia. But like I said, they do come with rose-colored glasses, and shooting film is no exception. When shooting film, you really slow yourself down. You're limited to the 24 or 36 shots you have in a roll, and in a fully manual camera like this, you're going to need to make sure you have all your settings set, because there's no way to preview your photo before you take it, or to review your photo after you take it. For this portion of the trip, I'm using Kodak Ultramax color film. It has a nice warm Kodak tone and a noticeable retro-looking grain. After years of being acclimated to shooting digital and just hitting that shutter button over and over again, it is nice to slow down a little bit to really take in your surrounding. And part of the magic of film photography is you don't know what you're going to get until you get those photos back. And sometimes you might be pleasantly surprised by a mistake. Wow. So that was pretty wild. We didn't talk too much about the camera in there just because it's kind of overwhelming being here. So let's go somewhere a little bit quieter and take a closer look at what we're actually shooting with. All right, there we are away from the city, somewhere quieter at the park by the river. And now that we have some time, we can take a little bit of a closer look at the Fujica ST801. This is a camera made by Fujifilm in the early to mid 70s. It's a fully manual and mechanical camera and was the first camera to have an LED light meter instead of a moving needle. It's probably one of the most advanced M42 screw mount cameras, with a maximum shutter speed of 1/2000th of a second on a cloth shutter. In order to be able to use a camera like this effectively, a knowledge of the fundamentals of photography is absolutely necessary. First is controlling the exposure. One way is by controlling the aperture with this ring. This controls the aperture blades, which controls how much light is let into the camera.
Next is the shutter speed dial, which controls how long the film is exposed to that light. Once you have your exposure set, you need to make sure that your picture's in focus, and this must be done manually with this ring on the front. Though manual cameras generally will have tools in the viewfinder to help you focus. Once you let the light meter know what ISO you have on your film, you can then wind in the next frame and you're ready to shoot. And if you forget how many pictures you've taken, you can look at the little window right here. And just because this camera is fully mechanical doesn't mean you don't get features like a self-timer, which is kind of on a watch spring type of system. You can actually hear it wind down.
Here's an interesting one. How do you take a selfie with a fully manual camera? I'll show you. First, you have to choose an area that has something you can focus on. So we'll talk about this tree here. Then we set up our shot, and then we focus on the thing we're going to stand next to. Then set the self timer and move. Hopefully that worked. I won't be able to find out for a couple of weeks. Oh, that was it, last shot. So very important, do not open the back yet. First, we're gonna release the film, open up the winder, and we need to wind this whole thing back into the film canister. So here we go. If you opened it too early, you will end up with an exposed roll and losing all of the shots you took all day. All right, that feels like it's done. We'll go ahead and pull the top and hopefully, there it is, a completed roll of film.
Next, I threw in a roll of expired Fujifilm Sensia slide film. Gives you a little bit different feel because one, it's a different film, and two, it's expired, which could potentially give you some unpredictable results, though not necessarily bad results. Bringing a film camera on a trip like this really allowed me to experience the trip in a different way. I was able to spend more time paying attention to the details and being present in the moment because I know every time I press that shutter button, it had to count. I really did enjoy my time in Bend, Oregon. It's a nice town with some beautiful landscapes, and it felt like a great opportunity to experience the past, but here in the present. I really enjoyed being able to share my experiences with film with you. And next time, we're going to take a look at the processing and some of the things you can do with the negatives or positives that you get back. So until next time, never stop having fun.